Hello and welcome to Newscentre. I'm Kissht Luthra. Several digital lending apps are staring at potential bans. Sources in the IT ministry tell us that 232 betting and loan apps have been banned on the basis of inputs from central government agencies. But we learned from industry sources that the government has assured select fintech companies today that legitimate players should not worry. Ashmit Kumar is here with the details. Ashmit, you were the first person to access the list of companies that have been put on a list of companies that will be banned. And this, we believe, is on the basis of inputs from intelligence agencies. And this is a protocol that the government has been following over the last 2 years. What more do we know about the rationale behind banning these companies? What are some of the linkages here that the government has identified or raised objections to?
Well, as far as the action and the takedown order itself is concerned, it was based on input that has been shared by the Ministry of Home Affairs. That input essentially pertained to two factors. Number one is linkages with Chinese entities, and the second is an increasing amount of consumer distress that has been voiced on social media and has been voiced in various platforms, shared with various government ministries. That's been collated and shared with MeitY. So that's as far as your question on the grounds for this takedown action is concerned. As for the scope of the action itself, it's quite wide. We've managed to access a part of the list of some of these players that have, in fact, been red flagged. As far as the loan segment or the fintech space is concerned, as many as 94 players are facing the axe here. And as far as the players in question are concerned, we have been reporting that the likes of LazyPay, the likes of Kissht, in fact, are facing the axe. But importantly, we've managed to access some names here further, which in fact suggests that the scope of the order is much, much wider. We're talking about names, heavyweights such as Indiabulls Home Loans. There are also substantial players such as M-Pocket, Credit B, FairPay. All of these players are also find themselves on the list of companies that have been red flagged for a takedown. Now, as far as the formality and the procedure of it all, well, the orders have been issued by MeitY to the intermediary, which in this case happens to be Google. So Google is the one that has received as far as these takedown orders are concerned. But in terms of the companies themselves, well, we understand they've been trying to reach out to the Ministry of Electronics and IT. They're trying to get more clarity in terms of how this order will be operationalized and what their remedies, if any, available under Section 69A of the IT Act. So a whole host of questions that need answering. For now, takedown orders being issued by the Ministry of Electronics and IT.
All right. Thank you very much, Ashmit, for accessing that list of companies as well. Ashmit Kumar reporting from the Ministry of Electronics and IT this evening. Let's go across to our guest. We're joined by Ankush Sabharwal, founder and CEO of digital lending app Kissht. Anuj Kacker of Digital Lenders Association is also joining us. And let me now go across to all our guests. Krishnan, if I can begin with you. You have been in consultation with the government. It's quite clear that there is a long list of companies which have been put on a list that will face a possible ban. How has this impacted your operations in the last few days?
Hey, thanks, Parikshit, for having me here. First, let me at the outset say we have not received any notice or communication from the government as yet. And we are also seeking clarification, having heard from the sources. At this point in time, there is absolutely no impact on our operations. The Kissht platform continues to operate, continues to serve millions of customers as it has done for the last many years.
Right. So you're saying that you've not got any kind of communication from the government so far. But let me go across to Anuj as well. Anuj, does this create a lot of uncertainty for some of the players in your association? Could you give us a sense of how many fintech startups could be possibly impacted by this move?
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me here. Yes, it's not an easy time. It's nerve-wracking because everybody's waiting for the final list to come out. Like my esteemed colleague mentioned that formal notices have to go out now, so everybody is waiting to see what is the impact. But like the way you were reporting just before this. You had mentioned two reasons why, this thing would have happened. One is probably there is a Chinese connection or there's a Chinese loan app connection. And the second is some collection practices. I think both are very easy to, showcase paperwork. So you can easily showcase who your shareholders are, who are sitting on your cap table to show if there's any linkage there or not. or if there's any, proof of money laundering. And then the collections issue, I think something that we've been working towards as an industry for the last couple of years, and that's what the DLG, the Digital Lending Guidelines, also mentioned, which was a crackdown on all these unfair practices. So I think a lot has happened over the last few years, over the last few months for sure. So everybody's just being a little bit waiting and watching to see that what is the final list, and that uncertainty is obviously not pleasant. So yeah, so there is some distress in the community, but I think most people that I have spoken to, we don't know the extent because we need to get the final details. But most people that I have spoken to are confident that if there's anything on these two lines, we can prove that there is no such issue. So there might be some minor disruption, but it should not be a fundamental issue as such, unless there's some third or fourth reason which we don't know of.
Right. Let me go across to Ankush. Ankush, in previous instances, and 400 gaming apps have been banned in the last 2 years. The government tells us, and we hear this off record from our sources, that this is a process that they have been following over the last 2 years. There are inputs which comes from the MHA, and the MeitY acts on these inputs. But no list has been issued. Do you think the government must come out clearly, publish this list, and make it clear why these apps are being banned?
Yeah, thanks, Prakshit, for asking me. If you see, the government takes decisions, I think, mainly considering two aspects, right? The consumer interest and country, right, as a whole, the interest of the nation. If you see, I think whatever has been called out by the government is twofold. One on the consumer interest, right, about the lending app, whatever I've heard from the public sources, is I think even 3,000% interest was also was getting charged, right? And a lot of force was being made and to recover at the time of default. And also the data, the PII data, the important data was being taken out without probably explicit consent from the consumer, and it was going out of the land of India, right? So data sovereignty and integrity was at risk, and at times probably it was going to our enemy's nation, right? So I think this is the consumer interest, personal data, and they're being threatened to pay, and exorbitant interest was being levied, and the important critical data was taken out of the country. So yeah, I think so. About the list, I'm sure we'll come to know soon. But I think the decision probably was taken probably in the right aspects. Now, maybe we'll come to know probably a little more in a few days.
Okay, Anuj, let me go back to you. Has the Digital Lenders Association or any member of your association received a notice explaining why this action has been taken? Anuj, are you there with us? All right, Anuj is on. All right, we'll come back to Anuj. Anuj, we believe you're on mute right now. But Krishnan, coming back to you. Yeah, Anuj, we can hear you now.
Sorry, I was saying that no, we don't know that. I think we are awaiting details of why. The minute you know why, then it's very easy for you to go and resolve it, right? You can produce documentation towards that effect. But we don't know as of right now. Whatever you have told in your report is probably what we also have heard. But there is no official email or a letter that's come to some of the members of why you are being asked to pull it down.
Right. Let me go across to Krishnan once again. Krishnan, give us a sense of how your operations have been impacted. Have they been impacted at all? What kind of action are you planning to take? Have you had any meetings with the government so far?
So, I mean, just to reiterate, Parikshit, as of now, no impact on the operations at all. But from what I understand, your own reporting and what the co-panelists have said, it could be that we receive a communication tomorrow or whatever. Right now, what we're trying to do is just engage with the government. Our team is there in Delhi right now, meeting with the MeitY officials to understand what is their concern and how we can address them. if I understand my co-panelist, if the concern is around either, anything to do with how the funding of the operations happen or anything to do with, consumer data, we'll pass with flying colors. I mean, Kissht been around for 4 years. We are the most credible digital lenders out there. We are part of FACE organization, working with RBI to, have some of the best practices when it comes to consumer digital lending. And more than that, I mean, of course, the digital lending guidelines are out. We are 100% compliant to that. So no concerns there at all. So we are also hoping more clarity is something we get very, very soon, so that this, uncertainty around this whole matter gets resolved on its own.
Right. Some of the things that the MeitY has possibly red flagged for all the companies is a possible Chinese origin, transfer of data, transfer of funds to Chinese entities, money laundering. So would Kissht have any sort of Chinese linkages or Chinese backing or origin in any sort of the way?
Absolutely not. Not a single share or shareholding has any beneficial ownership that leads to China. That's number one. When it comes to data privacy, data localization, IT security, fully compliant, CISA compliant by empaneled RBI empaneled auditors. So no concern there as well. And when it comes to best practices around consumers and all, I mean, what better thing than digital lending guidelines are something that we work towards getting implemented, and we are fully compliant to that.
Right. Anuj, coming to you, what happens after this? We're looking at almost 98 or 100 apps that have been that face a possible ban. How big is this ecosystem? What would be your message to the government so that these quick loan apps, the fintech startups, don't get impacted? Because I'm sure they must be receiving a lot of queries from their customers, from investors as well.
Sure. So as the DLAI, which is the Digital Lenders Association of India, we have about 100 members. And the company that I represent, I'm also a part of the DLAI. So the message is very clear. I think, 100 is probably the fintech lending companies are not the entire list. There are probably many others out there. We all play a very important role to ensure that financial inclusion as an objective is met, digitally passing credit to the last person standing in about 1,000, 2,000 cities. A lot of our members are available, present in about 1,000, 2,000 cities. So, we are an important cog in the wheel in the larger financial story of India and digital too. So I think the government understands this. I think they will probably need clarifications from everyone, whoever actually gets pulled down. At least what we understand right now is that the current operation, the current app usage will not get impacted. It's probably just the new downloads. So everybody will go and maybe they will have to present what the documentation has to ensure that, whatever other concerns that the government has raised are clarified. So I think we will be back to normal very soon because we've gone through this exercise over the last couple of years, right? And that's the reason why the DLG, the digital lending guidance, were put together. And we were forced into ensuring that, not forced is not the right word, but we all ensured that by certain date we were all compliant so that all these issues get taken care of.
But Anuj, has any meeting been called by the government so far, or are you awaiting a formal notification on a meeting? Anuj, you're on mute. All right, we'll get Anuj back. But Krishnan, do you feel that the government is going to call an industry-wide meeting in terms of the companies which have been put on that list, or there will be some individual sessions that will be called? Do you expect a meeting to be called in the next few days? Has any assurance come from the government?
Yes. So we understand that there will be some meetings that will happen with the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, perhaps both individually and collectively with organizations. So we believe that the meetings will happen over the next few days, and then we'll have more clarity on the way forward.
Right. And any requests that you would have to the Ministry of Electronics and IT and the Ministry of Home Affairs?
Sorry, I lost you there, Parikshit. Can you repeat?
Any request that you would have to the government, to MeitY or Ministry of Home Affairs, looking at the developments over the last few days?
No request. I think it'll be conjecture on our part at this point to even, understand what is the action or step they are planning to take. So no request. I think the only thing for us would be to dispel with this any uncertainty around this. The sooner the better. There's a very, very important role that, fintech lenders like us are doing in the market today. We cater to millions of customers, largely in the lower and middle income segment, and bringing them into the formal credit system in India. So, I mean, we want to work with the government, we want to work with RBI, we want to work with a large industry body to make it happen in the best way for the country and the citizens. So we just want the uncertainty to go away. The sooner the better.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Krishnan, Anuj, and our other panelists, Ankush Sabharwal as well. We've run out of time on this segment. We're heading into a short break, but when we return, we look at the Adani controversy, which continues to rock Parliament. A discussion with Syed Nasir Hussain, Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress, when we are back. Welcome back to Newscentre. The Adani controversy continues to rock Parliament. Today, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi questioned Prime Minister Modi and the government over the rapid rise of the Adani Group. Gandhi accused the BJP government of favouring the Adani Group to get into sectors like defence and aviation, where it had no prior experience. Gandhi's comments triggered a war of words, with BJP MPs retaliating, asking the Congress party to prove what it called wild allegations. To discuss this, I'm now joined by Congress spokesperson Rohan Gupta. Rohan, we have seen very detailed replies from the LIC, from the State Bank of India, from the RBI, from the Finance Minister on this controversy and the questions that the Congress party has been asking in Parliament. So would you be now satisfied, the latest reply coming in Parliament, that the exposure of LIC to the Adani Group is well known, all the details are in public domain? This was a statement that the Finance Ministry made in Parliament. The RBI has also said that the banking system is resilient and stable.
See, Parikshit, if you see this incident of last five to 6 days, it's not about single point or single allegation. The way this group has grown during BJP tenure, Rahulji has given the example, and Congress has always maintained that we are not against any government, we are not against any business, we are against the monopoly which is created by BJP government. We are against the undue advantages given to particular group, and that is what Rahulji has said today. He has given the examples. See, any group, after independence, a lot of groups have contributed to the GDP of country, to the growth of the country. All groups have grown. But when particular group grows extraordinarily, where all the things, whether it is airport or ports or any government assets, when they are sold, and when it goes to particular group, when the banking is diverted to a particular group, I think there will be questions they have to answer. And we are asking the questions to the government. We want the discussion by government in Parliament. If they know that, okay, they are true and there is nothing wrong, why they are shying away from the discussion? See, this is not a normal scenario in the stock market. Right. As an opposition party, it is our responsibility to ensure the interest of the shareholders, of the common people of the India. And when we are asking discussions on something which is abnormal, why government is shying away? That is what Mr. Rahul Gandhi is saying. Because this government has no answer, they are shying away from the discussions from the Parliament, because they know that something is wrong from their side.
So Rohan, would the Congress still be sticking to the demand for a JPC? Is the party unanimously seeking a JPC probe into this controversy, or a Public Accounts Committee probe?
Absolutely. There has to be JPC, because it's not a normal thing. At least 8-9 lakh crores being wiped out in such a small period. If this government is correct, they have to prove that. Now, they cannot stop opposition from discussing the topic which is concerning common man. That is what we are saying again and again. If you are true, you have to come out and say that, okay, there is nothing wrong. There is an international report which has put some allegations, and the market has reacted to those allegations. Then it is the responsibility of government to come clean and prove that there is nothing wrong in their tenure. Why they are shying away from that? Why they are discussing these points outside the Parliament? Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman makes the statement, but she is not directly discussing the point in Parliament. Parliament is the heart of our democracy, Parikshit. This is the habit of this government, whether it is note ban or GST or any big scheme or the farm laws, they have always boycotted the Parliament. And that is what our major worry about this. You have to respect the parliament. You have to discuss the issues in the parliament. And if you are shying away from the parliament, it means something is wrong from your side.
But Rohan, in an interview to Network 18, Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, last week made it very clear when asked about this issue that the opposition is raising. She said that the LIC SBI exposure to the Adani group is within permissible limits. The Indian banking system is at comfortable levels. Regulators are doing their job. Prahlad Joshi, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, said that why should government come and clarify about the matters of any private company on the floor of the House? So this was the response coming in from the government. Do you feel that there are enough clarifications, enough statements that have come in the last few days?
Parikshit, if you see the loss of people, loss to the people, the common man, it is in lakhs of crores, right? This is not about loss to particular person or particular group. We are talking about loss to the people of India at large. This is not an abnormal thing. When there are allegations due to which the market has reacted and the stocks have tumbled by around 50%, 60%, I think it is responsibility of the government to ensure the financial stability. People are really afraid. You ask any common man who have bought the shares, they are afraid they don't know what is going to be the future. So this is not the normal situation where the government says the regulator is doing their job. If regulator has been doing their job, why there is so much of correction in the market just because of one report? So I think there is requirement of deep thinking.
Rohan, my final question. You are seeking a reply from the government, right? You're seeking a reply from the government on the floor of the House. You want a reply from the
Absolutely. We want discussion on the floor of the House along with JPC. So
if I were to ask you about 3 issues that you would want an answer for on the floor of the House, what would those 3 issues be?
See, we have already told the government that they have to, like Rahulji has also raised the issues today. What are the instances from 2014 till now that particular group has benefited? The government needs to answer that. What are the reasons that the Hindenburg report, they have raised certain issues? Why government is or the regulator is not coming clean whether those are right or wrong? They have to do the discussion. And finally, what is the reason this much of lakhs of crores of market capitalization has been washed away? What is the remedial measure by the government or what are the corrective actions by the government? So I think these are the points Rahulji has raised, these are the points Congress party has raised. So the government cannot shy away from this responsibility just by giving piecemeal answers that, okay, our stake in LIC is this much. No, at the end of the day, it is LIC or SBI or anybody, their financial stability is under the threat because of this incident. I think government will have to come clean and prove that nothing is wrong from their side.
All right, Rohan Gupta, thank you very much for joining us. Clearly, this is an issue that the Congress and other opposition parties will be raising, and they have said that they will participate in the debate over motion of thanks on the President's address, but they will use this opportunity to raise the investments in the Adani Group and the drop in valuation in the company post the Hindenburg report as well. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.